In July 2020 this year, Tesla was sued in Germany, here in Munich, the city I'm living in, for misleading advertising Autopilot on their webpage. And the company that was suing Tesla is called Wettbewerbszentrale, which is kind of a club and organization I talk a little bit about later on. Just a few weeks later, the Euro NCAP, which is a organization again, a club if you will, that is testing security and safety of vehicles, tested driving assist systems for autobahns, and they decided that Tesla's Autopilot is only ranked on place number 6, while number 1 goes to Daimler, number 2 goes to BMW, and number 3 goes to Audi. So guess what? 3 members of that organization are Daimler, BMW, and the Volkswagen Group. Surprise, surprise. If you want to understand a little bit more about the background for this kind of decisions and what the reasons might be, you want to stay with me for this video. Let's start with who is who. So, who is Wettbewerbszentrale? The name is actually kind of Competition Central, which is a club or organization that has been founded in order to sue companies on behalf of other companies that are doing misleading advertising. So this is a good thing because as a consumer, you do not want misleading advertising, and it's good to have a company that is taking care of suing. Critics in the past have been saying that organization is pretty transparent for 2 reasons. Number 1, you do not know who the members are, and number 2, you do not know who is paying them. In the meantime, there is a member list on the webpage, so we can scroll through and you actually find everybody there. It's a huge group of companies, but it's still not transparent because nobody knows who is paying what. And if you look in their documentation, you find that the fees a member is paying is up to a negotiation. In other words, everybody is negotiating with that body, with that club, what they pay. And this is an open door for bribery because it's naturally the situation. If you pay a lot, you can demand a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's a little bit the case here too. Because if you look at the members, you find BMW, VW Group, and also Daimler in here. And it's probably not a surprise that it leaked through that one of the leading OEMs is behind the court case that was opened or sentenced in July 2020. Since we are talking about a sentence and a court decision, let's listen in to what the court really decided on. So I'm reading the full text that the court provided to the public. Decision of the regional court. Autopilot suggests here to be completely autonomous driving. In the opinion of the chamber, both the advertising statement as a whole and the elements attached separately by the plaintiff constitute misleading commercial act pursuant to paragraph 5, sentence number 2, number 1, UWG. The use of the relevant terms and phrases gives the target public, the average consumer, an idea that is not in line with the actual circumstances. In fact, both the Tesla Autopilot and the described package, full potential for autonomous driving, are components of a driver assistance system in which a journey without human intervention is not possible. By using the term autopilot and other formulations, however, the defendant suggests that its vehicles are technically capable of driving completely autonomously. Furthermore, the impression is also created that autonomous vehicle operation is permitted under road traffic law in the Federal Republic of Germany, which is not the case under the applicable provisions of the STVG. The reference made by the defendant at the end of the website does not remove the misleading impression due to a lack of clarity and transparency. What is the court exactly saying here? They are saying the text indicates that the vehicle from Teslas are driving autonomously without any kind of intervention, which is not true, number one. And number two, they are indicating something that even by the federal law is not permitted right now. So let's have a glance into the webpage from Tesla and read what is written there. And as far as I know, and please correct me if I'm wrong, there hasn't been any changes since that decision, since the case had been opened, I think even last year in 2019, and compared with today. It's still the exactly same text on the webpage from Tesla. And it reads like, Autopilot included enables your car to steer, accelerate, and brake automatically for other vehicles and pedestrians within its lane. Then it says full self-driving capabilities, navigate on autopilot, automatic driving from highway on-ramp to off-ramp, including interchanges and overtaking slower cars. It continues with auto lane change, automatic lane changes with driving on the highway, auto park, both parallel and perpendicular spaces, summon, your parked car will come find you anywhere in the parking lot, really, traffic light and stop sign control, assisted stops at traffic-controlled intersections. So if I just read this, I haven't seen anywhere the word autonomous driving. I've heard a description of what the vehicle is doing actually today already. You can claim in a parking lot it's not driving to you on a distance, but this is something Tesla didn't specify. So if we talk here 6 meters or 100 meters, is nothing the court can argue about because Tesla does not specify that. All the other descriptions like, parking automatically in a parking lot, this is happening today. I mean, I'm doing that all the time. Overtaking on my autobahn, yes, I'm doing that. And to claim that the car is not able to drive without human intervention on an autobahn is just not true because I'm doing that from time to time. Yes, there are situations where I have to interfere, and that's fine because actually that's description on the lower part of the Tesla website where it's described that the human always have to have the oversight, must have the oversight, and able to interfere at all times. But even that has been dismissed from the court in terms of somehow not relevant or not really, applicable here. So in short, I don't really understand what the court has decided here. I believe the judge never ever has been in a Tesla driving. And even more important, the text doesn't indicate anywhere that this is full self-driving or autonomous driving. It's driving assist systems, like the court said, but that's described like that. So I don't get this sentence. And if I look today on the web page from Tesla, actually I do see no change. So the decision, the sentence, has never been taken into any action. And there may be a compromise behind the closed doors, we don't know, but it's a fact that nothing really changed unless the media made a big story out of that, and Wettbewerbszentrale did make a big story out of that with we won in all points, but at the end of the day, nothing was taken into action here. The judge did not say autopilot cannot be used in Germany anymore, and the judge did not say that the word autopilot is really misleading and needs to be changed. Therefore, no consequences here at all. If we think about autopilot, we all know it from airplanes, but the word auto obviously is a word for vehicle, a word for car that is widely used. And just because auto is in the word automobile doesn't indicate that there is any, autonomous driving capabilities included here, as well as Autobahn doesn't indicate your car drives alone. That's just nonsense, and I don't understand why anybody is arguing that auto is a word that is not in good use for a driving assist system. Autopilot is a word not everybody likes, and the Euro NCAP, which is a European organization, doesn't like it too. Like we did with Wettbewerbszentrale, let's look who the members are. So we have here a long list of government bodies like the Department of Transport in the UK, the Ministry of Traffic and Digital Infrastructure in Germany, and you can go on here with France, with Netherlands, with Spain. It goes on and on and on with official government bodies, and this indicates that this organization is kind of an official organization, which is not true. The Euro NCAP is just a body, with different members, and they are making test and safety and security, for vehicles, but the results are meaningless. I mean, yes, you can read it and you can interpret it and you can try to, bring things into context, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything for legislation in these different countries, nor for the legislation for Europe. Not everybody likes the word autopilot. We know this because Mercedes, BMW, or Audi, one of those, did actively sue Tesla in the court case I just described. And if you look now here on the results, the top scores for the Euro NCAP driving assist system for autobahns is Mercedes, BMW, and Audi. So maybe this is a coincidence, I don't know, but it doesn't look like one. The test results are interesting to look at because if we, divide them here in the three columns, we have on the left side the sort of to what extent the driver is interacting with the driving assist system. So what we know from Tesla, twisting the driver wheel, but with other systems there is a camera pointing to the driver and also creating noise and lights in order to drive attention if the system believes the driver is not doing his job. In the middle part is the driving support, which is for keeping the lane, keeping the distance and the speed and all of that. And on the right side you have kind of emergency assist, which is if there's something on the lane, what is the car doing? Is it stopping? Is it going around? Is it safe from that perspective if something unexpected is happening? And the interesting part is here, if you look at the the top scores, they are kind of in the 80s, sometimes up to the 90s. But if you go to Tesla Model 3, which is here on rank number 3, you're gonna find that the inclusion of the driver in the interaction with the system is only scored with 36, which is really low. But with driver support, it's 91, which is the highest score from all. And with the emergency assist, we are at 95, which is the highest score of all again. So, in other words, all areas where the system is really doing something in a driving condition, the scores are exceptionally high. But in terms of interaction, the Euro NCAP didn't like that Tesla doesn't have a camera pointing or active camera pointing to the driver. They didn't like the word autopilot. And I'm coming to that in a second. But the inclusion of the driver in the system is really scored extremely low, which has led to the situation that the overall score for the Tesla Model 3 is only 131 compared to 5 others who are higher, although they score much worse in the, what I believe, very, very important driving assist and emergency assist situations. If we dive a little bit deeper in the area of weakness for Tesla, which is the assistance competence, which only scored 36% driver engagement with 4 subsections: consumer information, system status, driver monitoring, and driving collaboration, we understand a little bit better where this low score is coming from. Although, to be honest, driving collaboration would indicate there is no collaboration here because Tesla got 0 points, which would mean that you just don't have to twist the driver wheel, which is a form of collaboration, and there are other forms that a driver of a Tesla needs to perform in order to drive the vehicle. Driver monitoring would indicate there needs to be a visual, camera pointing to the driver, but Tesla proves that is not really necessary. There are other ways to do that, to make sure that there is, attention from the driver. System status, I believe there's a lot of information on a large screen for the driver in terms of system is active, is a blue point, or gray point, it's inactive. You have blue lines on the road on your screen. I mean, there's not only visual, there's also audio information. There's really a lot here. I do not understand why Tesla only got 16.5 out of 25 points here. And consumer information, there is a ton of information out there in the car and also out of the car. So on the internet, videos, descriptions, information, about the system and how it works. It's not really, if I go through these points, it's for me not clear why they did that. But if we go to the next slide, you probably will understand why. On the web page of Euro NCAP, you find a description what they are looking for, which is pretty enlightening. I'm going to read this to you. Consumer information. A good system name should not be misleading and should contain the word assistance to clearly identify the system design and its purpose to assist the driver. Moreover, the system name should never contain auto or refer to automation. System status. Any system should clearly indicate its status to the driver, i.e., whether it is engaged or disengaged, using visual, audible, or haptic signals or a combination of these. Driver monitoring. With an increasing level of insistence, it becomes more and more critical for the system to ensure that the driver remains engaged in the driving task. The best systems have driver monitoring sensor that can see the driver to determine the level of engagements. When a disengaged driver is detected, the system should issue a warning and should escalate this warning after some time. Finally, if there is no driver response, the system should enter in emergency mode. Driving collaboration. Driver assist system should offer steering support while the driver maintains full control and work with the driver's intentions, not against it. The steering input applied to the steering wheel to override the system should not feel like fighting against the vehicle. When the driver steers away from the middle of the lane for any reason, the system should stay engaged but always overrideable to ensure the feeling of cooperation, not a handover of control. What we find here from Euro NCAP is actually a definition against Tesla and not a definition in favor of a driving assist system. Number one, consumer information actually doesn't matter how a system is called unless it really works perfectly fine. So if I have a system on a road that is doing a bad job in an emergency situation and I have a bad, traffic accident and I'm injured later on or worse, I don't really care if it's called Autopilot, ProPilot, or whatever pilot or system or assistance. I don't care. So I do not know how Euro NCAP can ever justify this to be a safety feature because it's completely irrelevant. System status, it indicates really clearly here that, all what is required is actually done by Tesla. So as I said before, no reason to score low. I don't understand why they did that. Driver monitoring, this is here always talking about the system needs to see the driver in a visual way, which is absolutely not something a system needs to do if there are other ways, maybe even better ways, to make sure a driver, is attending here and, really watching the scene and able to interfere at all times. So again, I don't understand why they define a system needs to see the driver, while what they really are looking for is not that a camera is pointing to the driver, but a system that is making sure the driver is really, awake and, watching the scene, let's put it like that. And last not least, driver collaboration. That's another one here where the Euro NCAP was not happy because the system from what they did following tests, they put something on the lane and they've been expecting that the driver has to interfere. If you do this with a Tesla, the system disengaged and you hear it and you see it with different signals, which I find completely safe and meaningful, because either you take over control or not. But the Euro NCAP committee was not happy. What they wanted to have is a system that is still engaged although you interfered already, which doesn't make any sense, because the moment you interfere, you have to drive around something which is dangerous and you don't trust the system to handle the system alone, the situation alone. If you take over, you take over. Then it's your responsibility. Half is not a good decision. So again, I do not know what the committee did here. That definition doesn't make any sense for me. Let's go to the next page where, it's described why Tesla failed in these important areas. The Euro NCAP did a comment, pretty long comment, where they described why Tesla failed in that important area, and I'm going to read this to you, so judge yourself. Tesla's system name Autopilot is inappropriate as it suggests full automation. The promotional material suggests automation where the handbook correctly indicates the limitations of the system capabilities, which could lead to confusion. Status information is clear, but the Model 3 does not offer a head-up display showing the system status on the driver's direct line of sight. While the Tesla is equipped with an internal camera, it is not used for driving monitoring, relying only on a steering wheel input for driver engagement. The system resists drivers during input and then disengages, limiting cooperative driving. Tesla uses map-based speed limit information on highways to manage changes on highways, but responds to variable and temporary speed limit signs only on urban roads. The system adapts speed for upcoming road features such as curves and junctions. The Tesla Model 3 responds to avoid a collision in all the ACC test scenarios and requires AEB interventions only in the most critical cut-in and cut-out tests. The driver is supported through the S-band, staying centered in the lane at all test speeds. The vehicle has an active blind spot system designed to prevent lane changing and to eject vehicles. A lane change assist function is also provided. In case of an unresponsive driver, the Tesla performs a controlled stop in lane. If the radar or camera are blocked, the Model 3 provides a timely warning and prevents system activation. The Tesla Model 3 excels in the level of vehicle assistance but fails to balance that high level of support with a similar level of driver engagement, leading to possible over-reliance. Euro NCAP tested the latest version of Autopilot available at the time of testing. Tesla can improve the functionality of the system remotely by over-the-air software updates. End of quote. So I have at least 12 points that I could mention here where what they write actually shows that they absolutely didn't understand the system and did not know how really to in a proper way use it. One point here is that they complain that if you turn the steering wheel too much, that the system disengaged. I mean, this is intentional. There's a lot of reason behind that, and if you drive a little bit around, you fully understand why. It makes a lot of sense. You get noise and visuals that it's disengaged and you should take over, or you're taking over, and there's a lot of control in terms of handling that situation. So this is just one example, but there are many where I feel they really didn't understand or did not even want to understand how the system works, and they've been, according to their definition, trying to make out of autopilot, which is step-by-step moving into a full self-driving system. They want to make out of that a driving assist system to compare it with, inferior systems from the competition that only can do what they can do and nothing else. So it's a little bit a, apples to oranges comparison the NCAP did here. And if I look at their guidelines, this looks like this is defined from, one of the other competitive automakers and not at all from Tesla. You probably also remember that in the description of Euro NCAP, they've been very clear that you should not name the system Auto, and you should not use automation or even autonomous in any kind of description. I personally disagree to a certain extent, but well, fine. I mean, if you have these guidelines, do it. But in that case, these guidelines need to be valid for all who participate in the test, which includes Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and also Audi, which have ranked here 1, 2, and 3. So let's look into their description of their assist systems if they are using this kind of words. Let's start with Mercedes-Benz with Daimler. What we have here, and I underlined it in yellow, is some of those descriptions, and there are many. I read it to you. Some systems are even able to take corrective action in an emergency, such as autonomous applications of the brakes to prevent an accident or lessens its severity. And then they go ahead with follow vehicles in traffic jam automatically. So what we have here is exactly that, what the Euro NCAP didn't want, but they didn't judge on that, despite they did that with Tesla. I would call this a little bit odd, but let's go to the next, BMW. The next one is BMW, who ranked number 2. And on the webpage of BMW, I find under driving assist systems a ton of automation, automatically, and auto. So no surprise, because I believe this is just a word that is required in order to describe what the systems are doing. But let's go into it. I quote, "The stop-and-go function not only automatically regulates speed down to standstill, it also automatically accelerates back up to the desired speed within a limited time frame as soon as traffic flow allows." Well, no surprise. I mean, this is what an assist system is required to do. There's a lot of automation here. I have no clue why Euro NCAP doesn't want to have the word automation in the description. It makes a lot of sense, and automation includes auto. So if that's a part of a driving assist system, why shouldn't the name auto, or the word auto, the terminology auto, be in the name of the driving assist system? This makes no sense. Last not least, we have Audi as number 3 on the ranking list, and I find the word autonomous, automation everywhere. So there is just no mistake here. All the automakers who rank number 1, 2, and 3 are using the word automation at least, and they are still not punished for that like Tesla. If we look at the summary, and you see it here again, we see that Tesla has been downgraded in a section for using certain terminology and for having a system that is doing more than just a driving assist system. And that doesn't make sense, because at the end of the day, the consumer wants to know which system is superior. And we know this from the other 2 categories where the Autopilot has been tested, that system is indeed superior. And we can, be friendly and say, well, they've been trying to test a driving assist system and not a full self-driving system, and Tesla is a little bit in between. That's why they didn't understand that. You can do that. You also can say, they are a little bit confused about the word auto, which you can, say, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of oddities here in between the Euro NCAP test and what they did there and who won, compared to, what happened with Wettbewerbszentrale and the judge and the court ruling in Germany about the terminology autopilot and what the system describes it's doing. I believe the automotive industry here in Europe, in particular in Germany, is shooting in their own foot. They're trying to influence the opinion of the public and the consumer about autopilot, its system, what it can do. And they do this because they fear Tesla releasing a system that is superior of all, because at the end of the day, they know what is coming. Next week, we probably have first beta users using the full self-driving capabilities of Tesla, and that should give us a notion where the company is heading to. And if it's happening as advised or promoted from Elon, then this will be a game changer. And I believe it's going to be very, very hard for other automakers to sell vehicles after Tesla achieved its goals with full self-driving.